So we want to look at the inverse of the absolute value function. So when we look at the absolute value function, okay, the absolute value will take a positive, it will go through the function and output a positive, it will input a negative and output a positive as well. Okay, so that's what the absolute value function does. So how do we undo this? Well, from what we understand about inverse and undoing, it's basically going this way through the function machine. So as we go from right to left through the function machine, we are going to input the positive. Okay, so we're going to go in this direction. So we're going to input a positive, and our output is going to be a positive and a negative. Okay, so we have two possibilities that come out of this when we undo the absolute value. So this is the inverse of the absolute value. So we would have seen this when we solved absolute value equations. Okay, so if I had a basic absolute value equation like this, x plus 1 equals 5. Well, to undo this, we basically take the positive and give two possibilities. Okay, so we have our negative possibility. So we have x plus 1 equals negative 5. And then we had the positive possibility where we would have x plus 1 equals positive 5. And so this solution would be x equals 4. And this solution here would be x equals negative 6. Okay, so this is what it looked like when we solved absolute value equations. And this is exactly what we're using. We input the positive and we have two possibilities that we solve for. Now, there is another issue here in that absolute value equations sometimes have extraneous solutions. Okay, so we have x plus 1 equals negative 5. Well, this is impossible. Okay, since the output is only positive, we can't get a negative output here. So we can't undo this, okay, and say that, we have positive and negative versions here. Okay, this doesn't work. So there's two issues here when we undo absolute value. One of them is we cannot put the negative into the inverse. Okay, you can only put positives going this way. Okay, so we can only have positives that go in through here, and secondly, we get two possibilities for the output. Okay, so we get a positive possibility and a negative possibility. And again, we saw this when we solved absolute value equations. When I undid this absolute value, I got a positive version and I got a negative version. And that was only possible if my original output, or in this case my input, is going to be positive. Okay, it didn't work when this absolute value output was negative. It doesn't exist.